What up, my guy?
What up, bruh?
How we doing?
What's
going on?
Man? Dude, we were shitty this week, dude. We canceled 2 shows.
I know. Well,
look, hold on. Before you say anything, this is my concerned face. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, that's about right. We had shit to do. I had my last day of work. I had another test to do.
Feeling like doo-doo.
Yeah, and you had shit weather.
Weather is booty over here.
Yeah, it's a little windy tonight, but it's not too bad. I don't think it's supposed to rain.
Dude, this is how bad it is here. Yesterday, before I say anything else, everyone, welcome to the Liberty Risk Podcast. I'm Billy.
And I'm Hugh, and the city of Norfolk can go suck itself. I'll get into that in a minute.
So, me and the girls my daughters were sitting here just enjoying the evening, Okay. All of a sudden, the power decides to just cycle off.
Noise.
And then about 10 seconds later, about 20 minutes goes by. And I'm just like, okay, seriously, who's over there at the fucking power station flipping the main breaker being an asshole for my address? Because guess what? I haven't shot a rifle in a while from a long distance.
You know what they're doing is they're over there shutting them off and trying to find out whose lights are staying on so they can identify the veterans for red flag searches. We got 3 down there. All right, give it back. Next. Nope, there he goes. That's Jimmy. Yeah. No, he was Nam. Okay. All right. Next one.
It's like, this is his house.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Yeah. Hey, Sergeant, I hear Fortunate Son playing on the Roomba.
Hi, Meg. I don't know what that's about.
Shut up, Meg. So, yeah, man, check it out. There's a restaurant down the road from a place. And they got a big brand new sign.
Hold on. There's a restaurant down the road from a place?
No, from my place. It's 2 doors down. Yeah, no, not from a place. There's a restaurant down the road from a place.
How are you going to start a conversation?
Worst riddle ever.
There's a restaurant down the road from another place.
It's how you start the worst riddle ever. So I told the owner, she came to me and asked if she could have part of my tree cut down. I said, that's fine with me. That way people can see it driving down the road. This dude came over and cut down like at least a quarter of the tree. And so I told him, just chop the big pieces up, leave the rest there. I'll get my brother to chop it up, put it in the backyard, dry it out. We use it for firewood. So now on the side, you have the sidewalk and then you have that little grassy thing that the city says it's my obligation to mow, but they're not, they own it.
So you're talking about the patch of grass where they're too lazy to mow and make you do it.
Right, where they bury all the utilities, but then they make me pay for it. Right.
And then if they screw something up, it's your fault, not theirs.
Right. And even when you own your home, you still pay property taxes on that little strip that they technically own.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah. So there's a pile like 4 foot tall for this huge this whole section of it covered in big limbs.
Okay.
So I'm up doing work this morning, and I see there's a truck outside with the chipper on the back, and there's a bunch of city people. And I thought, well, if they throw them in there, no big deal. But they're across the street, and I know there's a city center across the street. So I figured they're probably not going to come take my shit.
Yeah.
Then, like an hour and a half later, a fucking City of Norfolk truck drives by and slow rolls by my house.
Ice Cube gangster.
And I'm like, motherfucker.
Is this like an NWA? We about to shoot the block up type of roll?
It was like I saw the window get cracked, and it was like rolling down the street in my 450. and then he fucking turns around and parks in front of the house. I was like, this motherfucker, he's gonna try to give me a fucking ticket. So I come in, I meet him outside, and he goes, "Hey, why are all these branches here?" I'm like, "Because they were cut out of the tree." And he's like, "Well, what are they doing there?"
You did it.
Oh yeah, why are they here? They were cut out of the tree.
They used to be up there, but now they're down here.
He's like, why are they in the median here? Like, because I didn't want them on the sidewalk, impeding people from walking.
I was being a concerned neighbor and citizen.
Yeah, right.
Thank you very much.
So he's like, well, what are they doing here? I was like, well, nothing right now.
They're taking a nap.
They're just resting. They're going back to work here.
They got tired of hanging out up there.
So he's like, well, they can't be here. It's collection day. And I'm like, I know it's collection day. He's like, well, they're in the way. I'm like, collection day applies to trash cans, which I did not put any out. So they're not in the way of anything. And he's like, well, if you had called for a bulk pickup, then it would have been fine. I'm like, I didn't call for a bulk pickup because I don't want you to pick them up. It's fine where they are. In fact, if you drove by to do a bulk pickup, you could have just rolled right by and ignored them. It's no big deal. I'm okay with it. I promise. So then he's like, well, they can't sit out here because you can get fined. I'm like, okay.
I would be like, and you're fine too.
I guess you had nothing else to do today, so you'll just slow roll through the neighborhood checking for fucking violations instead of, I don't know, stopping violent crime or sexual trafficking or the drug trade, but whatever.
Did you pat him on the butt and say good game after he left?
I did, yeah, right? So he's like, they got to go, and I told him, well, my brother is going to chop him up and put him in the backyard, so we'll get to him in a day or two. And he's like, well, they need to be gone by the end of the day tomorrow. And I was like, well, collection's not till next Thursday, so why can't they sit here till next Thursday? He's like, he's like, can I have your word they'll be gone tomorrow? I'm like, you can have it. That's fine with me. I was like, actually, and then I'm like, actually, can I get till Sunday? He's like, yeah, okay. I was like, don't worry. Come back and talk to me about it on Sunday if they're not gone. He's like, all right, okay, all right, I'll do that. And then he leaves. I go back inside, I get online, I check my Navy profile. I have approved orders. I leave on Sunday. You can stop by all you fucking want to. I'm gonna be all the way. I'll be out in California by the time you show up at my door.
Oh my god, dude! I love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So, dude, I got a pretty. Usually, you're the one that comes up with the memes, right? We'll put that out there. Usually, you're the one that says, "Billy, I got some funny memes." You got a meme vault very deep.
It's true. I do scour the bowels of the internet to find good quality garbage.
So I was proud of this one today. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this up really quick. This is you have to be slightly aged to understand this, but still
this one definitely shows your age, but it also shows other people's cultural awareness level.
It's also a gem.
It is a gem.
I love it. I just love it. I watched that fight. How am I here?
You think he walks into places and people are like, put a mask on? He's like, fuck you guys. Because it's not like he's in his prime anymore. Like, there's not a lot of people who know who he is.
This is for
the world's okayest Marine when he ever shows up.
By Marines, for Marines, drinking crayons. Icarus. I love that it says Icarus. Don't you fly too close to the sun there, Jimmy. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's for you, Chris, if you ever show up.
So awesome.
Somebody loves you, but it's not us.
Oh, I'm actually crying. So
I'm
bad.
here.
Dude, that fight was so horrible. He was just he's like, I'm old and I'm losing. What do you have two of that fit in my mouth? No, he's got pants on. Let me go for the ear.
It's funny too because most of the memes are usually about Mike Tyson and his inability to pronounce everything with a th in the middle of it. But I bet he's probably pretty excited to see that meme. He's like, "Yeah, suck it, Evander."
I just love that the mask was like that. If you look at the mask, no, it covered half his nose and half his mouth.
That's fucking great.
Well done, whoever made that meme.
Well done. Well done deal.
Yeah, you won the internet for 4 hours. Yeah, there you go. All right, so, dude, we got a guest today.
We do, and I'm pretty excited about it. I was introduced to hold on, I think I had the burp. Nope. I was introduced to Sharon a couple weeks ago by Justin, the Student Veterans of Association president at ODU. And it's such a mouthful, man. ODU SVA president. God. She runs the Veteran Pathways Foundation up in Williamsburg that helps veterans with a myriad of different services with a bunch of different contractors. And man, I got to listen to her story, talk about her husband, the time in service, talk to one of their contractors. You can tell. I'm pretty sure he used to be a Marine. I can't really remember, but he had this 1,000-yard stare the whole time. No. Just the whole time he's just like.
Did he give you Forrest Whitaker eye?
No, he wasn't that old. He was probably between our age, probably closer to mine, unless he just ages really well. I don't know. We'll have to ask him. Yeah,
I use lotions in the morning.
Let's go ahead and bring in Sharon, and then she can tell us all about what it is her organization does. It's pretty cool, man. It's got a wide-reaching network.
All right, here we go.
Even better. Here we go.
Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
I'm going to tell Will what you said. He's not Marine. He's Navy.
Oh, that's even worse. What did he do?
Submariner.
Oh, he's a submariner. That's right. Oh, yeah, because I said submariner.
Yeah,
and I saw submariner, and the vein on his forehead started to throb.
That's why he kept looking at you that way. You can see.
The best part is when I was stationed at Groton, where the submariner school is.
Yeah.
Being military police, I would say that to their faces all the time, and you just watch them get this like twitch. They'd be like, like they're just like, I could see that they just want to rip my head off my shoulders when I say it.
I thought I was going to have to throw a bucket of ice water on him a couple of times.
I did feel bad, and then when I went to say it again, I would check with him to make sure I was saying it right. But I can't get it right. I feel part of me feels bad, then the other part of me is like,
don't. No, you don't.
I know. I try. Yeah, you're probably right. You're
not. No.
So Sharon, do us a favor. Give us a brief synopsis of Veteran Pathways Home and what it is that you provide.
Okay.
I know that's a little tough because it's not like a niche group or by any means.
We're so different that people just get kind of stuck, on their words, even when we answer it. But let me put it to you this way. Veteran Pathways Home is an organization that we primarily deal with the Been There, Done That club, which means we're all military. I'm military. Okay. My husband's military. Everybody that essentially works for us is Military Connect or military themselves. And so when we're providing services, its call is peer support, which is actually a real job. And it's based on wellness and resiliency and helping active duty service members and veterans and their families cope with the crap that they've been through, especially since 2001. So we primarily deal with a younger generation, even though I'm the old lady. We have the younger family members. So we're dealing with post 9/11 veterans that are typically between the age of 22 and 36 to be able to help them cope with whatever they've been, whether it's deployment or active duty that's been in serious situations or experience where they want to help others. And that's really what it's about. It's about helping this generation of veterans not get dinosaur treatment that's happened for the last 20 or 30 years through traditional methods. That's it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And that's absolutely amazing because there really is such a stigma when it comes to veterans just talking about their issues and stuff like that, and it's really funny to see that they're like, well, let's just revert back to the old ways, and that's not, it's a different war, it's a different generation, different time, so it's you can't go about everything, especially with the advances in technology. It's got to be approached in a different way. So that's good to hear.
You're dealing with the VA that's been doing it the same way for so long. So now you have these people that want to do it differently, but a system that's not accommodating doing it differently. And then they do exactly what you said, Billy. They revert back to the old way. We're like, well, I guess I just won't talk about it. I'll just deal with it internally and see what happens.
Right. Yeah, it takes 40 years for them to prove a 20-year best services, best evidence-based practices. It takes them 40 years to understand it, and it takes us about 5. Which is still, right. I would prefer that it was sooner than later, but we deal in everything that's holistic health care. And we do have a faith-based element, but it's not a religious element. It's body, soul, spirit. So we're holistic in that way.
All right,
that's
very
awesome.
Cool.
So how did you get involved with all of this? What was the initial? Are you a founder? Was it something that you got into?
Did you witness something that made you decide to move in this direction?
I witnessed when my father was a 2-year, 3-year war veteran. He joined the service when he was 14, lying about his age in World War II. So what happened?
14?
14. My father was 14.
I think that's the youngest. I think that's the youngest I've heard. I've heard of 6. I think 16 was the youngest I've heard.
My
but
dad,
14. That's crazy. That's a 9th grader.
That's a 9th grader. He had not even gotten out of 9th grade. That's the truth. So ninth grade, World War II breaks out. He joins the Navy, lying about his age. He goes to the South Pacific and on the USS Currituck. And he's out there. I mean, that is tough duty. He's in the South Pacific on the island.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's watching stuff, and he's only 14 and 15 years old. So catch this. They catch on to him that he's underage when he says something to one of his shipmates, and they go, he's too, wait a minute, this doesn't add up. They reported him, and he was just short of his 18th birthday, so they gave him a dishonorable discharge. And he got out at 17, and he waited for his 18th birthday, turned around, and joined the Army.
Oh, my God.
Seriously. So he's 18, and he gets sent of all places.
Hold on. So this is what's funny to me is dealing with prior service, because I served for 15 years before I got medically retired. So I couldn't imagine someone coming up to me and be like, yeah, prior service Navy, 4 years. Be like, dude, you're 20 years old. Yes, I am.
You're 19.
Yes, I am. Right? I'm trying to imagine him going to the recruiter and be like,
"Such a great conversation."
Him showing up at one recruiter like, "What do you want to do?" I want to kill Japs. Okay, you do that for 4 years. Hey, you're too young, so you wait. You're like 3, 2, 1. Hey, I'm 18. I want to kill Crouch next.
It's 6 months later. So here's what he does. He enlists. He's Army. He gets sent to Fort Meade, and sure enough, while everybody else is out like partying, my dad is reading the manuals at Fort Meade barracks because he doesn't have enough money to go off post. So he reads all the manuals, and they decide he's really smart. So they send him to Hawaii. And he gets with the 5th Armor Division, and he gets orders to go to Korea. First Hawaii. He goes to Korea. He's on the 19th perimeter, and he's battlefield commissioned by the time he's 19. He's in just for a few months. Seriously. He's battlefield commissioned to lieutenant within 50 days. Seriously. He's the only one left.
I would lose my mind if I had a 19-year-old Louis come up to me and be like, "You need to get your shit together." Be like, "Sir, did you change your diaper this morning?" Be like, "What is going on?"
Does your mom know you're here playing war?
No
oh my
lie.
God!
No,
I'll tell you what. I have never
OC.
felt more confident. I've never felt more confident in saying that we train pansies now than after hearing this story.
Seriously.
Oh my God.
Seriously.
So now he's in Korea.
He's in Korea. He gets 2 battlefield commissions in 30 days. And he's the only one left in command. He's the only one who saves the troops. He's actually written up in books as being this like major hero. So they decide he's 19. He's battlefield commissioned. He's got a 9th grade education. And the wisdom of the Army at that time is to send him to officer candidate school.
Oh my God. You know what? You can't make this up. This is the best. This is one of the best military. Now, my grandfather served
We don't make the story.
Okay.
So it's great because my grandfather served at, he served at World War II. He was in the Battle of Okinawa. His ship was actually one of the few ships that didn't get bombed or attacked while we was there. So he used to tell us stories all the time. But he got out as an E6. He was in his 30s. Like he joined, to fight in the war. But
my dad's 19.
So
we don't
19
make
years,
5 years in service, but he's 19.
19 years old. And he's headed to
Off of
OCS.
candidate school with a ninth grade not even a ninth grade education.
All right, folks, I gotta go.
In his defense, it's not like they've really excelled a lot farther since 1942. The extent of the Army education is a ninth grade. But you know,
but we say this because he's prior Navy. We say this because he's prior Navy.
Yeah, having a ninth grade education was 5 years ahead of everybody else he was serving with already.
We only say that, Sharon, because he really had sailor's blood. That's
I know. It's seawater. It's seawater.
That's right. Yeah,
That's all it is, you know.
Davy Jones was flowing through his veins.
Okay,
so after he goes to OCS,
he goes to OCS, and he comes out, and he's in Strategic Warfare Command.
Of course.
Because why wouldn't he be?
And he goes, and he's 101st and 81st Airborne.
Yeah. Hey, Eisenhower, watch this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Seriously. So then he's already served Navy in South Pacific on the Currituck. He's already done the whole 19th parallel, that whole thing. And then he's Strategic Warfare Command, as you will, and he's training troops for the 101st and the 81st Airborne. And at this point, of course, he's a captain, and he spends his 20 years in, and he's a lieutenant colonel when he retires out, and he's 39 years old.
39 years old. He's a lieutenant colonel. I can't.
Lieutenant colonel. Seriously. And they wanted
a year old. He was a year older than I am now. It was like I couldn't.
I definitely wasted some good decisions in life.
Yeah,
and
seriously.
They wanted to promote him to colonel and then general, but both of my brothers were Vietnam veterans. So they went in, and things were really, really serious with Vietnam, obviously. And both of my brothers came back in pretty bad shape from Vietnam, and my dad said, there is no way I'm sending any more kids off to war. That's it. I'm done. So he got out, and we came back home to Ocean City, Maryland, and my dad was supposed to go to Florida to be a commander of a military boys school. And he made the wise decision of going back to Ocean City with family and opening a bar and a restaurant.
Naturally.
Okay. Naturally.
See? Once a sailor, always a sailor.
Yeah, that's a sailor's idea for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely a sailor's idea.
What do you know about opening a bar? I know how to drink at a bar.
That's exactly what he did.
Oh, you need to know.
This is what I know about it.
All that trauma on his injuries and stuff caught up with him. And here I had an amazing father, and I was the devoted upon, oldest daughter, child, that kind of thing. But he literally fell apart sitting at a bar stool when we hit Ocean City. And so I witnessed the complete change in him. It was heartbreaking. I watched my brothers who really struggled with their injuries. My brother Rick was actually blown up, injured in Vietnam when they were sitting under a tree, for a break. And one of our guys actually pulled the pin on the grenade, and my brother caught it and rolled away just in time, but he was injured that way. And so he didn't fare too well for a lot of years with, regrouping. Eventually was okay. My brother Jerry was highly decorated as well, came back and struggled with drugs and alcohol, eventually got clean, is great now. But I'm the 13-year-old, 14-year-old with these guys, including my dad. And I go, there's something wrong with this picture. And then I have 5 of my family members, my son, my daughter-in-law, my nephews, and my grandson right now is Army, he's 22 years old in Japan, and everybody's been deployed since 2001. I mean, my guys have done 3 and 4 deployments all over the world. Jeez. And really serious conditions. And I was like, we can't have this way. And I have a background in not only the faith, but I do disaster and terrorism response. I'm trained for that. I do all sorts of international critical incident response. And so I said, I think I can put my talents and my knowledge to better taking care of our military members so that they can be in it for the long haul without the trauma and losing their families and quality of life earlier on than when they're in their 60s. That's the bottom
That's
line.
awesome.
That's
awesome. You're providing these services to people that are still in, so that they can stay in the fight. And I think that that gets overshadowed a lot. That we think, oh, we only need to take care of people once they get out, but there are people that they want to stay in, they want to keep going, and there are services like you that can help continue that. And I think we oversee that a lot.
I do a lot of intervention work. Because I'm basically, I know it's hard to believe, but I'm like a chaplain. And so I have to, I'm a chaplain. And so I started out even here in Virginia, and back in 1994, we set up the Maryland Center for Veteran and Education and Training Center, which is for homeless veterans. And I created that blueprint nationwide for how to take care of homeless veterans there. And so that was like back in 1993, 94, McVet's known as a blueprint. So I went from our first issue is making sure that we take care of wellness, resiliency, and mental health. And then we should have no such thing as temporary or emergency housing. We need to put our veterans and military members in permanent housing right away. Stop all the stuff with emergency shelters and transitional. We need permanent housing right away. So on and so on. So but we start with 8 areas of care, and most of everything we do is based on people that we train that are Department of Health and Human Services, SAMHSA. We provide workforce development training, but then we also provide the services. And it's also Virginia and international accredited best practices services for peer support, which ultimately means that they're paraprofessionals who go into the medical and the mental health, behavioral health communities across the board in hospitals, VA medical centers, insurance companies. So we can strategically place all of these people where anybody would go and catch them in the net and make sure they're secure before it goes too far. That's
that's great. And your peer support, your peer support people, they're prior service, correct? Or
they're
service
all
connected?
Military. Yeah.
They're all military, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So they all speak that language, and they can communicate effectively without having to stop, be like, what is that acronym? Or I'm sorry, I can't relate to that.
My husband Michael and I, as a matter of fact, when the Virginia, my husband Michael has been peer support. He's an Army veteran, and he has done the peer support training and been a pioneer in it in Virginia. He actually helped establish the Virginia Certified Peer Recovery Support Specialist program, and then he's the one who piloted it starting in 2015 at the VA Medical Center in Richmond, the regional medical center for them. He was the first hire and brought exactly the programs that we do as the blueprint for the medical centers. And so we've been advocates of, oh my gosh, forever. And Michael's been doing the peer support stuff for 13 years. And so he left the VA and said, okay, we've got to do something at grassroots, because the VA, look, they're bureaucratically legislated to do what they do, and and so many people care there, but they're limited and they're bound by all kinds of conditions that we are not held by. And so the idea was, look, we get referrals from the VA medical centers, and often it's because we have a broader resource and network and way of doing things that they can't. But Michael left 3 years ago. We're actually on the advisory council to change the curriculum that we helped establish in the first place for the state of Virginia, which is also international, in making sure that military culture was in it, because when they produced the curriculum in 2017, it did not include military culture. Now it does.
So, interesting. Sharon, we have a couple of questions from one of our viewers real quick. So I'm going to put it up on the screen.
Sure.
So Taylor asked, do you have reaches in all states or just certain ones? I know a lot of people could use this help. And she followed that up. She followed that up with, and do you have access to base battalions or strictly VA hospitals?
Number one, we're nationwide. Number two, not only do we bring people in for retreats, training, and support services into the center, the Warrior Way Wellness Center in Williamsburg, we also do employment and corporate placements and human resources departments. And yes, we have access to all bases and all branches of services.
That's outstanding. I mean,
that's fantastic.
That's absolutely amazing.
It's a hell of a network. That's one
all
hell
of the
of a network.
all of the networks. Yeah, we do. And we're grounded in that. I mean, we have a lot of connections, and we do digital across the nation as well.
That's awesome.
Oh, so you don't necessarily need somebody to fly to you or vice versa. You'll meet over Zoom or Teams or whatever.
We use SharePoint. We use Office 365 because of the HIPAA, and we do telemedicine. So we can do the peer support workforce development online, as well as direct services with our peers themselves online digitally. But it's all secure and confidential, and we don't report to. We're not bound by. We'll say health insurance organizations. You can use your health insurance, TRICARE, and all that. We work with Magellan on referrals and U.S. Armed Forces Corporation. We're across the board, but we manage things for the billing that actually goes from the client to the insurance company. So we're all completely. We don't do case notes and all of those soap notes that you're getting. It's a completely
okay.
You get me? No soap notes, people. No soap.
We got time for that.
It's peer support. It's different.
Sharon, when I came out there, you told me about a bunch of different services that you guys offer at the facility in Williamsburg. Can you go over a few of those?
Okay, so as we're looking at the center itself, we have audiology, nutrition. We even do trauma-informed yoga by Zoom or in person. We have career readiness placements for especially I told you the National Guard, Army National Guard, and apparently Navy National Guard have lost their funding for their career counselors, and we actually provide that service now because we were upset that it wasn't being provided. So we do the career resiliency and placements. We do all of that sort of thing. We also do things that are more in the line of holistic care, where we carry thorn supplements, and we have a behavioral nurse practitioner on our staff that works with individuals on what medications they're taking and what she can advocate with their care practitioners for supplements and alternatives. So we even do the advisory and support on looking at medications and wellness plans. We do a 16-hour wellness plan, which allows somebody to do wellness, resiliency. We go over previous challenges that they may have had, family or otherwise. And then we do wellness toolboxes. We do daily maintenance plans, goals and objectives. When things get rough, when they're breaking down, we have intercession. We have all of that. All of them. Yeah.
Wow. That's it really is a one-stop shop just for everything.
One-stop shop for everything. Yeah. And we do law enforcement. We do law enforcement and first responders. We are frontline specialists in trauma care.
There we go.
My specialty is trauma care. My personal specialty is trauma care.
Billy, you hear that? Yoga and nutrition.
Yoga, nutrition.
Listen,
even guys can do it. We do music, art therapy, sound.
I have a good nutritional balance of the way I see nutrition.
I don't see. I'm not. I can't see it from here. Either way,
Billy's body by monster.
Yeah,
and we should add that in my own situation, I was on duty in an emergency response snowstorm back in 2001, and I was actually hit by a car. when I was directing operations at that scene. And I'm out there, I'm hit by a car, I'm in emergency rooms, I have traumatic brain injury, I have spinal injury, I have fibromyalgia, I have a service dog who's laying over here somewhere.
Oh,
and, yeah.
Lucky.
So we also provide in many ways training for emotional support dogs. But at any rate, I'm part of the Been There, Done That club with the traumatic brain injury and the post-traumatic stress injury. By the way, people, post-traumatic stress is not a disorder. It's an injury. Check it or call us. It's an injury.
No, that's really, I'm glad you said that because so many people link it to that. And it's just so, and I hate the stigma behind PTSD, that if you meet someone with PTSD, that they're going to be a psychopath and they're going to rage out and they're going to break stuff and they're drunks all the time and blah, 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 blah. That drives me crazy.
It's this much. And
drives me crazy.
It's a brain injury. And now there are ways to work with that because it is a legitimate brain injury. It's inflammation to the hippocampus and the Stanley-Gallien block. So that all of that is passé. And so we have to treat it as an injury. You can't drug trauma. You can't drug trauma and traumatic brain injury.
True. That's great though that your staff, your contractors are all military connected. Everybody has the experiences of the people receiving your services. You have more than just, it's not just counseling and therapy and medication. There's a myriad of services that you're providing these people for them to get help either with a specific thing or if they have a general issue to find something to help them out. It's a nice breath of fresh air to know that when people are going to go somewhere, they're going to walk out with a bunch of information to actually help them and get them going in the right direction. And from experience, it's not, you didn't just jump on Google and be like, all right, quickest way to treat this crap.
No,
all right, 501, let's file for a business license.
What was that? WebMD.com. Yeah, let's not do that.
WebMD. Yeah.
No, and the thing is, we provide resources across the country. We're connected. So if somebody says, I'm having difficulty with my paperwork and my upgrades, then we have people who would be with the DAV or anywhere in the country to help them refile their claims. We do veteran court justice, where one of the services is that people, especially in Virginia, but across the board, veteran court justice is where an active duty or a veteran has been charged with some sort of a crime, and veteran court justice allows them to get special treatment, almost like a drug treatment court, where we advocate and we go ahead and we represent them and advocate in a court. We give a plan for their well-being. Then their case is postponed. They complete that, and if they have done well, they're stable, then oftentimes the charges are dropped. So a lot of DUIs, DWIs, assaults, batteries, minor theft, all of that kind of thing, those things can actually be set aside based on veteran court justice. So I get calls from all over the country based literally on veteran court justice and finding resources for them in their state.
That's great.
Why should a veteran or an active duty member, and I understand the issues and I believe in justice, we're justice reliant people, but we're dealing with a lot of trauma, alcohol, drugs, illness, disabilities. Let's give them the same chance that we do drug addicts and alcoholics to go to
it's not that this person doesn't have a 9 to 5 and and no other problems. It's 24/7, 365 on top of all these other things that we're doing. And we say, hey, listen, we know that you can only handle this much.
Right.
But we're going to give you this much and hope, and we want you to handle it in the same manner.
And we take care of their families too. Don't leave the families out. Any family. We take care of the families. We loop them in. We provide the same services for family members as we do the military members themselves. That's it.
I gotcha. Nice. And so I remember you telling me that you're connected with Tidewater Community College here in Norfolk, correct?
We did. We had 3 outreach centers. We had originally Tidewater Community College Center for Military and Veteran Education. We set up with them. We ran programs because here's an important issue. A lot of our military members who are going to school on the GI Bill, if they fail, they have to pay the GI Bill back. And a lot of times they're either homeless, they're not getting the money based on the GI Bill for in between breaks or summer. They've got the trauma, or they've got other diagnoses, or they're on medications they can't pass. So we had the outreach center there so that we could stabilize them with the same programs that we do now and help them pass their courses. And then we also had Goodwill Workforce Development. And then we also had a facility just down the street from Hampton, VA. What we did is we closed those, and we ended up doing the big center in Williamsburg because we can cover, we've got 7,000 square feet there. And we're
that's right, you do. That's a big facility.
Wow, that's a big facility. I'm sorry I missed. I'm sorry I got missed out on that.
Man.
I hate that I live down here.
It looks small when you pull up to the front. It looks like a really, really small building, like a small branch office of something. And then you get in there and you're like, oh, this is deceptive. And it's 2 stories. And there's at least 15 rooms in the building.
More than
it's
that.
amazing.
Yeah, 12 offices.
It's amazing.
And it looks like a comfortable, like this is a place I can go out, drop in, hang out. People are going to talk to me. It's not your institutional clinical kind of thing at all. It's like you're going to somebody's house and hanging out. That's
awesome.
It's really cool, man.
So
it
makes you feel comfortable instead of feeling all uptight. That's awesome. Yeah, you can't beat that.
Really, next time you're up here, we'll make a trip out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know Hugh told you I live just south of Raleigh, so it's about 3. It's about 3.5 hours from Williamsburg. Yeah, that's such a pretty area too. That's a great place to have a facility. It's just and pretty area up there.
Billy, if you do come up where we are, we're in the Bush Corporate Center. We're between Busch Gardens and Colonial Williamsburg.
Oh, okay, yeah. I frequent Colonial Williamsburg with the kids all the time. So
you can practically walk, and we're across the street from the courtyard, Marriott Courtyard. So when people go online, we do retreats. So they can bring their family. They can go to Colonial Williamsburg. They can go to Busch Gardens. They can come into a wellness, situation to do the class with us, and then head home. So they can incorporate things, and we have special rates for people to be able to do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's. I'm telling you, we worked on this plan for well over 8 years to do it. By the way, it's all of our own funding. It's our own in-house.
Oh, really?
That's amazing.
Yeah, we donations are a wonderful thing, but they're a wonderful thing. But we wanted the flexibility of not getting into grants and not doing a lot of donations, so that we could really put forth programs that we felt were the best for people, and they weren't you weren't being provided
money and them saying, I'll give you this money, but this is what I want you to do with it.
Yeah,
you wanted to make sure that you had control over your programs, which is a good call.
We have to. This way we can really give everybody what they need instead of what we're legislated or bound by. Not that we don't comply. I mean, we're licensed and we have everything, but we realize that if we went too far, we'd be right back in the situation where all of these other agencies and the VA are, and Veteran Services legalities, where we really need to be able to have the flexibility to meet people in the way that they need to be met. So so a lot of this all started with our money, and then we do charge for our services, but we charge very reasonably, and we work things out for people. Yeah, that's what we do.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome, Sharon. Well, Sharon, I can't thank you enough for being here with us this evening, and we're going to put all this information on here after, so that everyone has the resources to find you guys. We've already had one person say that they already found you on Facebook, which I think is absolutely great. Yeah. So the outreach is there. But again, Sharon, thank you so much for taking the time to come out here and talk to us tonight, and let everyone know what you guys do over there.
Appreciate it. And if I didn't make you laugh enough, you let me know, and I'll make a list of jokes the next time.
Absolutely, we'd love to. We're looking to have you back
coming
on.
up and hearing more stories about your dad and
Right.
those are good.
I'll tell you that. I will tell you about how I go into stores and stuff, and because of my imbalance with my traumatic brain injury and my injuries, I often fall over on counters in the floor, and people are shocked and they run and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I go, "No problem, it's fine." It's all cool. And we all laugh. And they're like, "Are
just
you
what I do.
okay?" And I go,
it's my thing.
I just fell down. No
just checking to make sure I can do it still.
Just another day that ends in a Y. That's
see how I bounce. All right. See you later, guys.
All right. Take it easy, Sharon.
Bye, Sharon. Take care.
Dude, that was awesome. She was an awesome guest, dude. There was so much information that I didn't even, I know there's a lot of people out there that just don't know about it.
2 hours. I thought for sure I'd be up there like maybe 30 to 45 minutes tops. We talked for 2 hours about the things that they do, the services they provide, their contractors, their training, their qualifications. It's crazy. It's crazy the amount of stuff that they can help people with.
That's absolutely awesome.
And it, it's always nice, because we talk about like, oh, help veterans. And it's always nice when people make it a point to remind us that, hey, we don't help just veterans. We help our active duty people stay in the fight. We help our law enforcement and our firefighters and our EMTs stay functional so they can stay in the fight and in the relief effort. And I think that's not something you have to offer either. You can make it. You can make a ton of money. You can make an entire empire just by helping veterans alone. It's not like we're ever going to get rid of those. But to then open it up and say we're going to help all the people because we understand the sacrifices that they're making to keep us safe and to take care of us. That's pretty cool, man.
No, it's absolutely
awesome.
Paramount. It's absolutely paramount that organizations like hers are out there, and that we have the capacity now with technology to be able, as veterans ourselves, push that information out to those vets that don't know about it. I mean, we had a lot of questions come in, which I thought was absolutely great. People are going on there and, researching and stuff while this is live, which is the whole purpose of it. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
But, dude, so
it was great, man.
This whole fucking week has just been a shit show around the world. Just a complete shit show. First off, we got Navy ships.
The fucking BHR, man.
Dude, they just put that fire out like hours ago.
Yeah.
Honestly, 4 days.
I'm trying to figure out if they're going to rebuild it or scrap it. And honestly, I think I'm concerned that it might be cheaper to rebuild it. To repair it.
I honestly think, how old is that ship? Hold on, let me.
Where's
Meg? Where's Meg? Our local historian.
Meg,
what are you doing, Meg?
When was the Bonhomme Richard laid to keel? That's crazy, man. I remember Monday morning, I got the first notification. I think Matt sent it to me, and I was like, I watched it at work. I told my laborer, I was like, go do this. I got something else to do, and I just watched the live feed for like an hour. It's insane, man.
Yeah, the fire was so hot that it actually burnt through from underneath up through the flight deck.
So the tower, I saw that the tower fell. I saw that the Sea Whiz collapsed through, and it was like, I don't know if it's a deck or a level. I can never remember, but I'm going to call it a floor because I'm a CB. But it burnt through like 2 or 3 floors from the flight deck level. Yeah. And I saw like tugboats were pumping water onto it. I saw the helicopters were flying over top, dropping water. I saw a bunch of photos of firefighters and first responders and sailors all helping out, man. That's just fucking crazy. I can't wait. I mean, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I trust my government enough to wonder if there's a conspiracy going on. But I hope that it doesn't ever come out. I hope that it's never, believe that there's like some sort of conspiracy, like the Bonhomme Richard was set on fire to push some point or what have you. Like, it's an accident that's fucked up, and that obviously the people involved, something needs to happen to them. But I hope it was an accident. You know what I mean?
So that big beautiful bastard is the Wasp class amphib, right? For those that don't know, 844 feet long, commissioned August 15th, 98.
1998, 22 years that thing's been out there fighting the fight.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And for that The keel was laid. It was ordered. The ship was ordered in 92. The keel was laid in 95.
Yeah. 22 years was a long time. And then just to be down there in the bay at San Diego and just to start up and flame, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, I've never been on a ship. I know you have. Like, for the fire to get that far out of control, like, I couldn't imagine. Like, I'm trying to, like, all right, did, like, nobody shut a door? Did nobody hit an alarm? Was there nobody there? You know. Wow.
I love our viewers. Again, that's how you sleep outside.
He went down this week. That's pretty fucked up, man. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm ready to cross that line, but come on, we're not there yet.
So but no, it's
you know what though.
This
isn't even the. Sorry, go ahead. I
was gonna say the one thing that people might not realize if you haven't been on a ship, and I'm not saying you, Hugh. I'm saying that maybe people that are watching that haven't been in the service, or people that aren't in the Navy, is that when you check on board a United States naval ship, when you check on board a warfighting vessel, you automatically, whether you want to or not, become a firefighter. Everyone from the E1 up to the CO is a firefighter. You don't have a choice. Whatever your assignment is. Like me, I was an electrician. When I was a gas turbine systems electrician, so I worked my way up to repair party electrician, and I was on the crash and salvage crew. Like if we had a bird go down or whatever. So my job was to make sure electrical power was cut off to certain areas and stuff like that. Which people are, that's not that hard. Well, when you're running through burning spaces, in a closed, pretty much the only way I can describe it to people is, buy a brand new dumpster, sit in the middle of the dumpster, start a fucking fire, and stay in the dumpster. That's what that is. You're in a metal box. Luckily, this ship, was pierside. Because if that ship was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean,
people
or
would
the middle of sorry, they were on San Diego, the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I'm an East Coast sailor.
You'd have people overboard. Dude, you'd have people overboard, or dying, or they'd be staying and fighting and dying. You'd have, yes, you would have an insane amount of deaths if that ship was out underway. It'd be a worse tragedy than it already is.
Oh yeah. And
dude,
with the unfortunate thing that has happened with that fire, and I felt, and we talked about this, I almost felt like it's all over the news, but we had to touch on this. The thing that for the crew, and I feel horrible for the 20 plus sailors that were injured. I can only imagine, because when you get attached to a command, or especially a ship, that it becomes a part of you. You know what I mean? Sure. That's your home. When you're gone, when that ship pulls away from the pier, that's your home. So what they had on their side was the base fire department, local civilian fire department, the air units that were on base and off base that were able to dump those buckets of water. Again, you're out in the middle of the freaking ocean.
You don't have that.
You don't have these services.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of want everyone to kind of remember, is when these ships not just go out to fight these wars and, offer support and everything for the war that is just continuously going on.
It's just them.
Those sailors, that's it.
Yeah,
everything that happens on that ship is their sole responsibility. To make sure that ship stays afloat.
This is the second time that I can recall. I'm not really affected by it. Affected is not the right word, but I remember people talking about it and it being kind of like an active conversation. Matt was stationed up in Maine when that submarine caught fire in the yard. Do you remember that? 2010 or 2000? I
was stationed in Groton when that happened.
Well, do you remember when that was?
Yeah, because I was on a submarine base, so it was just.
No, I mean, it was like 2000. It was like 2010 or 2012. Yeah,
and that was a shitbag who. Was he complacent?
I think he was complacent. I can't really remember, but I remember Matt
He was Firewatch, and he didn't do his job.
Well, I remember Matt was recounting the story to me one time, and he was on this tugboat with my brother's dad, and they were both like, who do you call first to say goodbye? Not that it matters. If this thing goes tits up, nuclear submarine explodes,
Yeah.
Everybody's pretty much gone within a however mile radius. So, I mean, 2 in 10 years is a lot. So I hope it's not a complacency thing. Obviously I hope everybody did their job, and sometimes shit just happens or shit just goes wrong. It would really suck to come out and to find out that this was a complacency thing, or somebody knew or didn't say anything, fell asleep, didn't show up, somebody left early, left their watch early or something. But of course we hope those people get better, the ones that are in the hospital, and we hope that we find out what happened, because if it was a malfunction, even everybody did their job right. USS Miami, that's right, yeah. Hopefully, we find out that everybody did their job appropriately, and it was just a malfunction, and then it can be, corrected and then checked up on all the other boats that are out there.
Yeah.
Ships. Sorry, excuse me. Wrong word.
But yeah, dude, it's been a hell of a week. We got to get back on this schedule. We need to get back on here on Monday, right? On Monday.
Monday, yes. So for those, so I mentioned it earlier. I'm in the process of getting some orders. So presumably this weekend I'll be traveling to California to go to my 3rd C school. Deliberate fire setting caught after second one. I don't know what any of that means. I'll be to a C school out in California for a few months. We will be continuing the show. I'll be on the West Coast, so I'll be on here at 5:30. But we intend to still do the show. I'll be doing 4 episodes in quarantine, which will be great.
Oh, that's going to be a special. We're going to have a special on that.
It'll be nice. I'll be able to. These were wanted to put it up and what would fill the entire sub. Yeah, they're just dumping water into this hole with the guns on the tugboat, just try to keep it cool. I remember him telling me that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it'll be cool. I'll do 4 episodes from quarantine, and I'll be able to talk about what things are happening on the West Coast for a little bit. Talk about my experiences in my new school, and what other things Big Navy's working on as far as the CB community is concerned, which is always a fun little thing for me to complain about. West Coast battalions are a little weird, but can't all be 10s.
They're all pretty boys out there.
Yeah. But I had a game for today. There was a good one. So now I know, just so everybody's aware, we have a game set up for Monday. So it'll be in. So if anybody watches this last little bit, section to the end, and wants to do a write-in, the game, it's a list. Traditional military tattoos people douche up. So write in, comment on the video, send us a message. Tattoos you see that are definitely military, not just Navy, but military tattoos that people really, really douche up. What'd you just see and you're like, God, you're a fucking douche. Put $1 in the douche jar.
I hate you. All right, brother. Well, thank you everyone for watching. We appreciate it as usual. Sorry this week was all fucked up. Just shit going on. Life happens. Deal with it. Yeah. End of story. I'm really not going to explain myself. But we will see you guys on Monday.
Absolutely. Later, guys. Thanks for being here. Guess I'll just close down this game, but whatever. It's not like I put time and effort into these right